The courtroom went silent. Her voice sliced through the air, cold, proud, dripping with entitlement. "I don't need your opinion, stupid judge. My dad can buy you." Gasps. Even the cameras seemed to flinch. Judge Judy didn't blink, just the hint of a knowing smile. 30 minutes later, that same girl was shaking, her mascara running, her voice breaking. This time she wasn't talking about money. She was begging for mercy. And that's when Judge Judy revealed something no one saw coming. The sound of her laughter didn't just fill the courtroom, it pierced it. A high glittering sound that seemed too polished for a place built on truth. Vanessa sat in her designer blazer, one leg crossed over the other, lips painted the color of confidence. The gavel hadn't even touched the wood yet. The audience shifted uneasily. A few people smirked, unsure whether to admire her bravado or recoil from it. Judge Judy stayed motionless behind the bench, her eyes sharp enough to slice the echo in half. The camera panned, close up on Judy's still face, then on Vanessa's amused smirk. "Let's get this over with," Vanessa said, flicking her hair. Her tone carried the arrogance of someone who'd never been told no. Across from her, Maria, small-framed, hands trembling around a stack of receipts, looked like she'd stepped into the wrong movie. She whispered to herself, "I just want what's fair." Judy adjusted her glasses. "Name of the defendant?" "Vanessa DeLune," the clerk replied. "Plaintiff?" "Maria Torres." "Good," Judy said, her voice even. "Then let's start with the truth, shall we?" Vanessa laughed again, louder this time. "The truth? Judge, the truth is she's obsessed with me. I gave her exposure. She should be paying me." Gasps rippled through the audience. Even the bailiff's eyebrow lifted. Maria's lip quivered, but she held her ground. Judy didn't react. She simply folded her hands. "Ms. DeLune, do you always speak before being asked?" Vanessa leaned back. "Only when I already know the answer." That earned a few quiet chuckles from the gallery, nervous ones. The kind people make before something bad happens. Judy tapped her pen twice. "You'll answer questions when I ask them." "Understood," Vanessa smirked. "Sure, whatever keeps the cameras happy." The remark hung in the air like smoke. The camera cut to Maria. She stared at Vanessa, not with anger, but disbelief. She had spent weeks messaging, calling, begging for the money owed for those luxury hair extensions Vanessa flaunted online. Now hearing Vanessa mock the process, something inside her stiffened. Judge Judy glanced toward the plaintiff. "Ms. Torres, you'll have your chance to speak. For now, let's remind everyone why we're here. You claim you weren't paid for services rendered, correct?" Maria nodded. "Yes, Your Honor. She owes me $2,400. I did the work. She blocked me afterward." Vanessa waved a manicured hand. "Petty cash, Judge, this is ridiculous." Judy's gaze sharpened. "Then paying it should be simple." "But arrogance usually costs extra," the crowd murmured, a low approving rumble. Vanessa's smile faltered for the first time. Judy's tone stayed calm, almost gentle, but the warning underneath was unmistakable. "Let's test how much truth money can buy," Judy said finally. The gavel struck once, crack. The laughter died instantly. The audience holds its breath as the echo of that gavel becomes the opening beat of judgment. The echo of the gavel still hung in the air when Maria took a small, uncertain step forward. Her shoes clicked too loudly on the polished floor, the kind of sound that betrays nerves. In her hands, a worn folder, corners bent. Receipts folded and refolded until they carried fingerprints of exhaustion. Judge Judy's eyes followed her, patient but piercing. "Ms. Torres," she said, "you may begin." Maria's voice trembled at first, the way truth often does before it finds its footing. "She came into my salon last month," she began, "with a camera crew and 4 suitcases of clothes. She said she wanted the best hair extensions I could offer, color-matched permanent imported strands." Her words spilled out quickly, rehearsed 100 times in her head. "I stayed after hours. I finished the job at 3 in the morning." She swallowed hard. "She said she'd wire the money the next day. She never did." The camera cut to Vanessa. She was scrolling on her phone, perfectly calm, deliberately detached. "She's making this sound dramatic," she muttered. "I was waiting on an invoice." Judge Judy's tone cooled. "Ms. DeLune, you'll get your turn. Put the phone down." Vanessa rolled her eyes but obeyed, sliding it into her purse like a weapon she wasn't allowed to use. Maria continued, voice steadier now. "When I followed up, she blocked me on everything." I even went to her hotel. She opened her folder, showing printed screenshots, messages unanswered, posts of Vanessa flaunting the same hairstyle that hadn't been paid for. She tagged me in one photo, Maria said, a bitter laugh escaping. The caption said, "Luxury doesn't come cheap." The audience chuckled under their breath, part sympathy, part disbelief. Judge Judy didn't smile. "Ms. DeLune," she said evenly, "is that your post?" Vanessa shrugged, feigning boredom. "It was a joke, Judge. People exaggerate online. She should be thanking me. Her work got exposure." Judy leaned back slightly, her expression unreadable. "Exposure," she repeated, letting the word echo like an accusation. "Ms. Torres, did you consent to any barter arrangement?" Maria shook her head. "No, ma'am. I asked for payment, not followers." Judy tapped the file in front of her, rhythm steady as a heartbeat. "Ms. DeLune, when someone works, you pay them. It's not philosophy. It's law." Vanessa laughed again, but softer this time, like the sound was starting to cost her something. "This is over hair, Judge. She's just being dramatic." Judy's eyes narrowed, her voice tightening into focus. "No, Ms. DeLune. It's over respect. And you're running out of it." The room went still. Even the bailiff looked up. Vanessa's painted smile lingered just a second too long before slipping. Judy leaned forward, tone surgical. "You said she never sent an invoice. Good. Then prove it. Produce the message right now." Vanessa froze, not prepared for the challenge, not used to being cornered. The faintest tremor ran through her hand as she reached for her phone again. The crowd watched, silent. The camera zoomed in on Judge Judy's steady gaze, the look of someone who'd seen arrogance dressed up as confidence too many times before. Vanessa unlocks her phone, but her face falters as the screen lights up. Something's there she didn't plan for. Vanessa's fingers hovered over her phone, the screen's glow catching the tension on her face. For a moment the courtroom felt suspended, everyone waiting for what she'd show. Then she smirked, confidence snapping back like armor. "Here," she said, thrusting the phone forward. "Proof that I was waiting for her invoice." Judge Judy motioned for the bailiff to bring it over. He handed the phone to the clerk, who projected the message thread on the courtroom monitor. Gasps rippled through the audience. The messages were there, but so was something else. In one screenshot, Vanessa had typed, "She'll chase me for it, let her. I'll tag her, that's payment enough." Maria's eyes dropped. Vanessa froze. The smile she tried to recover looked brittle, almost fragile. Judy adjusted her glasses. "So you were expecting an invoice, but also mocking her for wanting payment?" Vanessa's voice wavered for the first time. "It was sarcasm, Judge. We were joking." Maria's voice rose, shaking. "No one was joking when I couldn't pay my rent." The crowd murmured, uneasy. The sound of moral weight shifting. Vanessa leaned toward her lawyer, Chase, and a sharp-jawed man in a navy suit, too young, too smug. He stood, straightening his tie. "Your Honor," he said, voice oiled with confidence, "my client's post was satire. She owes nothing because there was no formal agreement. This was a favor." Judy didn't blink. "A favor?" He nodded, pacing a step forward. "Correct. Ms. Torres offered her services in exchange for publicity. We have a signed note stating that." He slid a document across the bench. The paper landed with a soft thud. Judge Judy examined it. Her expression didn't move. Then she looked up. "Ms. Torres, is this your signature?" Maria shook her head, her voice trembling. "No, Your Honor, that's not me." Judy's tone sharpened. "You're sure?" Maria pointed at the bottom corner. "She spelled my last name wrong, twice." A ripple of shock rolled through the gallery. Vanessa's jaw tightened. "She's lying." "That's her signature." Judy slid the document toward the clerk. "Bailiff, get me the handwriting comparison sheet." The sound of shuffling papers filled the silence, the kind that swells before the truth hits. Vanessa's posture changed, shoulders tense, fingers drumming too fast. Chase whispered something, but she waved him off. Judy looked at her, voice calm, surgical. "Ms. DeLune, you might want to rethink that signature." The room froze. Even the hum of the fluorescent lights seemed to pause. Judy continued, softer now. "Because forgery, my dear, is not sarcasm. It's fraud." The words hung there, heavy, deliberate, final. Vanessa blinked, suddenly smaller in her chair. Maria closed her folder, one tear sliding down, but not from fear, from recognition. The camera lingered on Judy's face, steady, patient, a storm gathering behind calm eyes. The gavel didn't fall this time. It didn't need to. The silence did the judging for her. Vanessa's laugh from earlier now feels distant, replaced by the quiet panic of someone who just realized she's being cornered for the first time in her life. The forged signature still glowed on the monitor, enlarged for everyone to see. No one moved. The air itself seemed to tighten, like the room was holding its breath for her next lie. Judge Judy finally spoke. Quiet, deliberate. Ms. DeLune, would you like to explain this? Vanessa crossed her arms. That's what she signed. Maybe she forgot. Her voice was calm, but her pulse was visible in her throat. The judge's pen tapped twice, a soft, rhythmic warning. Forgot how to spell her own name? Laughter rippled through the audience. Low, nervous, knowing, Vanessa's jaw flexed. You're twisting this. I'm clarifying it, Judy replied. Big difference. Chase, the lawyer, leaned toward her. Just say you have another copy. But Vanessa's hands were trembling now. Her polish was cracking. She flipped through her bag, pulling out papers with the desperate rustle of someone losing control. Judge Judy waited, watching her. Silence is strategy. When Vanessa finally slammed a folder on the bench, it was empty. Judy raised an eyebrow. Is that your evidence or your ego making noise? The crowd chuckled again, sharper this time. Maria stood quietly, clutching her own file like a shield. For the first time, she wasn't the one shaking. Judy gestured to the clerk. Display Exhibit B. The screen lit up with screenshots, Vanessa's own social media posts from a week after the salon visit. In one video, she laughed into the camera. Free luxury, baby. Some people just love to work for me. Gasps. Chase rubbed his temples. Context, Your Honor, that was self-incrimination, Judy cut in. Classic. Vanessa tried to speak, but words stumbled out half-formed. I was joking. People know my humor. Judy leaned forward. No, they know your attitude. And now they're seeing your truth. The camera zoomed closer, a bead of sweat on Vanessa's temple, her lipstick slightly smeared from biting her lip. Every flicker of composure was slipping through her fingers. The rhythm of her breathing quickened. Maria's eyes softened. Pity, not triumph. It almost made Vanessa angrier. She's loving this, she snapped. You all are. Judy's tone turned glacial. What we're seeing is accountability. It's rarer than you think. A long silence followed. Then the judge's gavel tapped once, not as judgment, but punctuation. Ms. DeLune, she said, voice steady. Lying under oath is free, too, until it isn't. Vanessa blinked. What does that mean? It means, Judy said, standing slightly, your father's name won't cover you when the truth finishes what it started. The camera pulled back. Wide shot of a courtroom no longer dazzled by wealth, only lit by exposure. Even the lights felt colder now. The illusion has broken. The fake contract, the online bragging, all exposed. Vanessa's smile finally cracks. The first fracture in a glass mask that's about to shatter. The silence after Judge Judy's words stretched like glass, thin, fragile, and ready to break. Vanessa didn't blink. Her smile had vanished completely, replaced by something she wasn't used to feeling. Vulnerability. She tried to hold her chin high, but her voice betrayed her. So what, I'm a criminal now? Over some hair extensions? Judge Judy didn't look up from her notes. If that's what you think this is about, Ms. DeLune, then you've learned nothing. Her tone was calm, but each word landed with surgical precision. The bailiff shifted near the bench, a quiet reminder of order. Across the aisle, Maria's breathing steadied. Her hands still trembled, but it was a different kind of shaking now, release instead of fear. Judy leaned back, folding her hands. Let's move to payment evidence. Ms. DeLune, did you ever attempt to pay the plaintiff? Yes, Vanessa snapped. I sent her a check. She refused it. Do you have proof of that? Judy asked. Vanessa hesitated, the pause lasting a fraction too long. My accountant has it. Your accountant, Judy repeated slowly, or your imagination. Soft laughter fluttered through the courtroom. Chase, her so-called lawyer, jumped in again, his voice tighter now. Your Honor, this hostility— Mr. Chase, Judy interrupted. You'll speak when spoken to. This isn't a podcast. The audience chuckled again. Chase swallowed hard and sat down. Vanessa exhaled sharply. You people just want to humiliate me. Judy looked up at her, unflinching. No, you're doing fine on your own. The camera lingered on Vanessa's face, the smirk gone, the mask slipping. Her foundation couldn't hide the heat rising beneath her skin. Her phone buzzed quietly in her purse, but she didn't reach for it. Everyone could see she wanted to. Maria cleared her throat, speaking softly. She didn't just not pay me. She also posted a story saying I begged her for the job. The clerk displayed the post, a snapshot of Maria at work. Captioned, "She should thank me for exposure." The audience gasped. Judy stared at the screen for a long beat. "You took her dignity, Miss DeLune. Then you filmed it." Vanessa's mouth opened, but no words came. Her throat tightened. Rage or regret, no one could tell which. Judge Judy straightened her posture, eyes sharp. "This is not a salon problem. It's a respect problem." Her words hung heavy, echoing through the room. "And you're about to learn the price of it." Maria looked down, tears glistening but no longer weak. Vanessa turned away, blinking hard. Judy's voice softened, almost like a final warning. "Rich doesn't mean right, Ms. DeLune. Remember that before your next post." The gavel hit once, and sharp final. The sound didn't end the moment. It deepened it. The camera holds on Vanessa's shaking hands. For the first time, she isn't fixing her hair or her image. She's gripping the desk to stay standing. The gavel's echo hadn't even faded when the murmurs began. Soft at first, then growing into a wave. Every eye in the room shifted from Judge Judy to Vanessa. For the first time, the crowd wasn't watching a confident socialite on display. They were watching a facade begin to crumble. Vanessa's posture stiffened. "Why are they looking at me like that?" she whispered to Chase. He didn't answer. His eyes were on the judge, and for good reason. Judy was studying Vanessa the way a surgeon studies a wound, not with anger but precision. "Ms. DeLune," Judy said, her voice smooth but sharp, "you seem very comfortable making scenes. Is this one of your hobbies or just an accident of personality?" The audience laughed, and quick, nervous, electric. Vanessa forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm comfortable with truth, Your Honor. Maybe that makes people uncomfortable." Judy's tone cooled. "No, dear. Arrogance does." That line landed hard. Even the cameras seemed to hold the silence that followed. In the second row, Maria's sister clasped her hands, whispering, "She's finally being seen." Vanessa heard it. Her head snapped toward the audience. "Jealous nobodies," she hissed. The room gasped. Judy's gaze snapped back to her. "That's enough." Vanessa crossed her arms, her voice rising. "They're mocking me." "Because you invited them to," Judy said, unflinching. "Now sit down." For a heartbeat, Vanessa didn't move. Then slowly she sat, but not out of obedience. Out of uncertainty. Her power, once performed so easily, was beginning to falter under the weight of reality. The bailiff stepped closer to maintain order, though none was needed. The audience had already shifted. No longer her stage, no longer her fans. They were witnesses now, and witnesses remember. Maria stood again when prompted. Her tone was quiet but firm. "I didn't come here for revenge, Your Honor. I came because she made me feel small. I work hard. I take pride in what I do. And she turned that into a joke." She paused, eyes glistening but steady. "I just want her to know I'm not invisible." The room fell silent. Judge Judy nodded once, a small, almost imperceptible gesture of respect. Vanessa looked down, unable to meet anyone's gaze. Her lipstick had faded, her confidence even more so. Judy leaned forward, her voice low and deliberate. "You said your father could buy this courtroom. I'd like to see the receipt. Clerk, pull up the payment record Ms. DeLune mentioned earlier." The clerk tapped at her computer. Vanessa's heart thudded audibly in her chest. A beat passed, then another. Finally, the clerk said, "There's no record of payment, Your Honor. Not from her or her father." Gasps. Judy's stare turned into silence that could peel paint. "Interesting," she said softly. "Let's see if your father's money can buy what's coming next." Judy calls for verification of the father's accounts, her tone edged with something colder than anger, inevitability. Vanessa's facade trembles as the courtroom braces for what's about to be revealed. "If you were sitting in that courtroom, would you stay silent or speak up against her arrogance?" The last word from the clerk still hung in the air. "No record of payment." It hit harder than any gavel strike. Vanessa froze. the color draining from her cheeks. Her mouth opened, then closed again, like the words had nowhere left to hide. Judge Judy's gaze didn't waver. "Ms. DeLune, you said your father handled the payment. Would you like to call him or shall I?" The courtroom went perfectly still. Even the bailiff stopped mid-step. Vanessa's eyes darted toward the door, toward the cameras, anywhere but the judge's face. "My dad's busy," she said quickly. He's traveling." "Good," Judy replied. "Then he'll have time to answer his phone." She nodded to the clerk. "Dial the number on file for Mr. DeLune's office." The clerk obeyed. Each ring echoed through the courtroom like a countdown. 1 ring, 2, 3, then a click, and a man's calm voice. "Robert DeLune's office. This is Judge Judy Schindlin," the judge said evenly. "I'm in session with your employer's daughter, Vanessa DeLune. We're verifying a financial transaction." The entire room leaned forward, as though gravity itself had shifted. "Of course, Your Honor," the man replied. "Mr. DeLune is unavailable, but I'm his financial assistant. How may I help?" Judy's eyes flicked toward Vanessa. "Please confirm, did your office issue payment to Maria Torres for salon services last month?" A pause. Then the voice, steady and professional. "No, Your Honor. That account was frozen 3 months ago." The audience gasped. Vanessa's nails dug into her palm. He must have unfrozen it by now." Judy tilted her head. "Frozen, you said?" "Yes, ma'am. Mr. DeLune closed all of Miss Vanessa's personal access after an incident." The man hesitated. "Should I elaborate?" Judy's tone stayed calm but pointed. "Briefly." The assistant's voice lowered, almost regretful. "There were unauthorized withdrawals under her name. Mr. DeLune instructed us not to honor any payments requested by her." The words struck like thunder. Vanessa's jaw slackened, her composure finally cracked. "That's a lie," she shouted. "He wouldn't do that to me." Judy raised a hand, not loud but absolute. "Enough." Maria looked down, guilt flickering across her features. She hadn't wanted this, not to see another person break, even one who'd humiliated her. But justice had its own rhythm, and it was finally catching up. Vanessa's phone lit up with a text on the table beside her. "Don't involve us again. Dad." The glow reflected off her tear-streaked face before she quickly flipped it over. Judy's voice softened, but only slightly. "So your father can't buy this courtroom after all. How does that feel, Miss DeLune?" Vanessa swallowed hard, unable to answer. The judge nodded once, decisive. "Good. Then we'll proceed without him." She motioned to the clerk. "Pull the remaining file, the one marked fraud inquiry. Let's finish this properly." The folder lands on the desk with a dull, inevitable thud. Vanessa stares at it, frozen between denial and collapse. And everyone in the room knows whatever's inside will end her performance for good. The thick file sat in front of Judge Judy like a loaded weapon. Vanessa couldn't stop staring at it. Every rustle of paper, every breath from the audience felt louder than her heartbeat. Judy tapped the folder once, her voice calm. "Ms. DeLune, before I open this, is there anything you'd like to clarify?" Vanessa straightened her back, trying to recover her signature smirk. "I told you, my dad will handle this." Judy gave a small, tight smile. "He already did," the crowd murmured. Vanessa blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean," Judy said, "your father's office has already spoken with this court. About you." A hush fell. The air itself seemed to go cold. Vanessa's fake lawyer, Chase, suddenly shifted in his seat. "Your Honor," he began, "I think we're venturing beyond the scope of—" "Sit down," Judy cut in without looking at him. "You're not licensed to object," the audience gasped. Vanessa turned to him. "What?" Judy's tone hardened. "Mr. Chase, care to tell us your bar number?" he stammered. I'm awaiting approval." "Approval from where?" Judy pressed. "Harvard, Hollywood." The courtroom broke into uneasy laughter. Chase's silence was confirmation enough. Maria blinked, stunned. "Wait, he's not even a lawyer." Judy's voice turned icy. "Not even close. He's your assistant, isn't he, Ms. DeLune?" Chase's shoulders slumped. He tried to speak, but Vanessa snapped first. "He helps me manage my image." "Ah," Judy said softly. Your image. The same thing you just destroyed. The cameras zoomed in, close up on Vanessa's trembling hands, on Chase's flushed face. The perfect power couples act was over, and everyone could feel it. Vanessa's voice cracked. You don't understand, Judge. This isn't what it looks like. Judy leaned forward. It looks like fraud, deception, and arrogance. Convince me otherwise. Her words sliced through the silence, but this time Vanessa had nothing left to say. Chase stood up abruptly. I can't do this, he muttered. Sit down, Vanessa hissed, but he didn't. He took one step back, then another, before saying the words that ended her defense. I was told to pretend. She said no one would question it. I'm sorry, Your Honor. The courtroom erupted. Whispers, gasps, flashes from the gallery's phones. Judy banged her gavel once. Order. But the damage was already done. Vanessa turned toward him, face pale. Hey, coward. Chase wouldn't meet her eyes. You paid me to lie. I'm done. He walked out. The sound of the door closing was like the end of a performance. Judge Judy watched him leave, then looked back at Vanessa. Now, she said, voice cold and even, let's talk about real fraud. The clerk opened the file. Inside were records, falsified payment claims, screenshots, and copies of 2 invoices Vanessa had altered herself. It was all there. The proof, the trail, the fall. Judy's gaze softened, not with pity but with inevitability. Your father didn't ruin your image, Ms. DeLune, you did. Vanessa's mascara streaked down her cheeks as she whispered, He'll fix this. Judy's reply was quiet, final. Not this time. Her entire defense collapses. The fake lawyer exposed, the evidence undeniable, her father's protection gone. For the first time, Vanessa realizes the truth. She's completely alone. The courtroom had gone deathly still. Only the faint hum of the air conditioner and the scratch of Judge Judy's pen filled the void left behind. Vanessa sat frozen. The once unshakable posture now wilted, her arms folded tight like armor that no longer fit. The cameras zoomed in, capturing not a villain anymore, but a girl trapped inside the consequences she built. Judge Judy didn't speak immediately. She let the silence work first, the kind that dismantles pride better than shouting ever could. When she finally did, her tone was almost soft. Ms. DeLune, would you like to adjust your statement before we proceed? Vanessa swallowed hard. There's nothing to adjust. Her voice cracked halfway through the sentence. Good, Judy said. Then let's continue with the record. The clerk handed over the printouts from the fraud file, each document a nail in the coffin of pretense. They showed screenshots of bank statements, falsified signatures, and her public bragging about getting services for free. Judy's gaze stayed fixed on the papers, but her words aimed squarely at Vanessa. You said earlier that your father could buy this courtroom. I wonder, could he also buy your integrity? Vanessa's breathing quickened. You don't understand my family. Then explain it to me, Judy said calmly. We have time. Vanessa's eyes darted around at the crowd, at the cameras, at Maria, who sat quietly, clutching her purse like a lifeline. My dad raised me to win, Vanessa said finally, her voice trembling. He said people only respect you if you act like you're above them. Judy leaned forward slightly. And how's that working out for you today? The audience fell utterly silent. No laughter this time. Only the weight of truth. Maria's face softened. I don't hate you, she said suddenly, voice breaking the stillness. I just wanted you to treat me like a person. Vanessa blinked, startled. That tone of compassion hit harder than any accusation. Her lips parted, but no words came. She looked down, tears hitting the polished table like raindrops on glass. Judge Judy didn't interrupt. She let the moment breathe. When Vanessa finally looked up again, her mascara had smeared into dark rivers across her cheeks. I didn't mean for this to happen, she whispered. Judy's reply was steady, simple. But you meant every choice that led here, the audience murmured, not with anger this time, but with quiet reflection. Even the bailiff shifted his stance. The energy had changed from hostility to something almost mournful. Vanessa covered her face with her hands. You all think I'm a monster. No, Judy said. I think you're a warning. The gavel came down, crack. It wasn't the sound of punishment. It was the sound of finality. Vanessa lowers her hands just as the courtroom door opens behind her. A new figure steps inside, a man in a dark suit carrying a briefcase. His expression unreadable. The gallery whispers, "Something new is about to unfold. Do you think remorse should ever erase guilt? Or does justice demand accountability no matter what?" The heavy courtroom doors creaked open, and all heads turned. The man who entered moved with quiet authority. Dark suit, neat silver hair, a briefcase tucked under one arm. He wasn't flashy like Vanessa, but his presence drew silence. Judge Judy looked up, recognizing something in his composure. Truth walking in unannounced. "State your name for the record," she said. He cleared his throat. "Alan Reed, financial controller for Mr. Robert DeLune." Vanessa's head snapped up. "Alan, what are you doing here?" He didn't look at her. "I was subpoenaed, Miss DeLune," the audience murmured, a ripple of shock. Judy's eyes narrowed. "Mr. Reed, were you instructed to attend by this court?" "Yes, Your Honor. We were contacted this morning by your clerk." "Good," Judy said, leaning back. "Then let's get to the truth." Vanessa's lips trembled. "He doesn't know everything." "He can't." Alan opened his briefcase, removing a thick binder labeled DeLune Holdings, Personal Transactions. He placed it on the desk with a quiet thud that carried more weight than any scream. Judy nodded. "Proceed." Alan adjusted his glasses, voice steady. Miss DeLune's accounts were merged with the company's discretionary fund. She used those funds for personal expenses, travel, jewelry, social media marketing, without authorization. A low gasp rippled through the courtroom. Vanessa's breath hitched. "You weren't supposed to say that." Alan turned to her for the first time, his tone not cruel but firm. "You told people your father paid for everything." "He didn't, the company did. Until we discovered the misuse." Judy's pen stopped moving. "And when you discovered it?" Alan hesitated, glancing at Vanessa. Mr. DeLune froze her access, filed a report with corporate counsel. He made it clear he wanted no involvement in her personal debts. Vanessa's chair scraped backward, panic overtaking poise. He wouldn't embarrass me like that." "Apparently," Judy said softly. "He would rather be embarrassed than complicit." The audience murmured again, sympathy and shock mixing like static. Maria sat motionless, her expression a strange blend of sorrow and vindication. Alan continued. "I also brought copies of Miss DeLune's social media contracts. She monetized unpaid services through affiliate branding, including Ms. Torres's salon, claiming the work was promotional. The screen behind Judy lit up with the evidence, posts, contracts, dollar amounts. Every line now had a price tag. Judy leaned forward. "So, Miss DeLune, you profited from this woman's work without paying her?" Vanessa's voice broke. "I was just trying to build something." "I didn't mean—" "Build what?" Judy interrupted sharply. "An empire on other people's effort?" Tears streaked Vanessa's face as she shook her head, words tumbling out in panic. "You don't know what it's like. You have to look perfect, and they all expect it." "Then maybe perfection isn't what you should be selling," Judy replied. The courtroom fell still again, not out of tension this time, but exhaustion. The truth had drained the room. Alan closed his binder quietly, nodding toward Judy. "That's all I have, Your Honor." Judge Judy folds her hands and looks at Vanessa with unblinking calm. "Mr. Reed," she says, "you've done your duty. The rest is hers." And as he exits, Vanessa's trembling voice cuts through the silence. "What did my father tell you about me?" Judy glances toward the door because someone else unseen has just entered. The second figure entered quietly. No announcement, no flourish. Just the slow click of expensive shoes against the courtroom floor. The air shifted again, that same electric stillness that fills a room when truth is about to take the stand. Vanessa turned, her eyes wide, voice trembling. "Dad?" Robert DeLune stood tall. Immaculate suit, silver cufflinks, expression unreadable. But the way he looked at her wasn't love. It was distance. Recognition without warmth. Judge Judy leaned forward slightly, her tone respectful but firm. "Mr. DeLune, I didn't summon you, but since you're here you may address the court." He nodded curtly, taking the stand without looking at his daughter. Vanessa's voice cracked. "Dad, tell them. Tell them this is all a misunderstanding." He didn't answer right away. He just studied her. the same way a man studies a painting that's lost its meaning. Finally he spoke, each word deliberate. "I warned you, Vanessa. Funny can clean your hands, but not your name," the audience murmured. Vanessa froze, her breath caught in her throat. "You froze my accounts?" "Yes," he said flatly, and filed a fraud report. "You used the company's reputation as your shield." "I won't let that stand." The silence afterward was unbearable. Even the lights seemed dimmer, as though the room itself pitied her. Judy broke the silence gently. "Mr. DeLune, do you wish to make any payment on her behalf?" He shook his head. "No, Your Honor, she has to learn." Vanessa's hands trembled. "You're humiliating me." "No," he said softly. "You did that when you chose lies over legacy." Her eyes filled, tears streaking her face as she reached toward him, a desperate, childlike motion. "Please, you said you'd never let me fall." Robert's eyes softened for just a heartbeat, then hardened again. "I didn't push you, Vanessa." "You jumped," the crowd gasped. Maria turned away, too moved to watch. Judy watched the moment unfold, not as a judge now, but as a witness to something far deeper than law, the collapse of entitlement into accountability. "Mr. DeLune," she said quietly, "you may step down. The court has what it needs." He nodded once and left as silently as he came. The door clicked shut behind him. A sound sharper than the gavel itself. Vanessa sat motionless, her body rigid, her spirit hollowed out. "I didn't think he'd really let me fall," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Judy's gaze softened, but her voice stayed firm. "Maybe that's the only way you learn how to stand." The courtroom stayed hushed, every person feeling the weight of what they'd just witnessed. Not a fall from grace, but from illusion. The bailiff slowly approached, placing a glass of water before Vanessa. She didn't drink it. She couldn't. Her reflection shimmered in the surface, streaked makeup, trembling lip, eyes filled not with pride but recognition. Vanessa's father has disowned her publicly, not out of cruelty but principle. The truth isn't just legal now. It's personal, generational, moral. And as the door closes behind him, Judge Judy quietly says, "Let's move to sentencing." For the first time all morning, the courtroom was utterly still. No whispers, no side glances, just the heavy, echoing quiet that follows destruction. Vanessa sat frozen in her chair, the bright studio lights now too harsh. Her makeup streaked into the ghost of what used to be confidence. The phone that once commanded her world lay black-screened on the table, dead, forgotten, silent. Judge Judy took a long breath, closing the file in front of her. The sharp snap of its clasp sounded like the final note of a symphony. "Court will take a brief recess," she announced softly. But no one moved. No one wanted to break the silence. Maria looked across the aisle. Her expression wasn't vengeful but solemn. She saw not the woman who'd mocked her, but the child beneath the armor, sitting in the ruins of her own arrogance. When Judy stood, Vanessa's eyes flicked up, searching for anger or victory or anything familiar. But Judy's expression was unreadable, steady, human. The judge didn't leave the bench right away. Instead, she spoke quietly, her voice filling the room without raising. "Money is loud," she said, "but truth has a whisper that lasts longer." The cameras caught the words, the kind of line that would echo long after the episode aired. Vanessa's mascara-streaked face was no longer framed as glamorous. The lighting, now softened, showed a young woman stripped of her image, raw, trembling, real. Judy turned to Maria. "Ms. Torres, do you have anything you'd like to say before I deliver the verdict?" Maria hesitated, her hands shaking slightly as she rose. I forgive her," she said finally. "Not because she deserves it, but because I don't want to carry her cruelty anymore." The audience exhaled, the sound of collective release. Judy nodded once deeply. "That's strength," she said. "And it costs nothing." Vanessa's lip quivered. "You think forgiveness fixes everything?" She whispered. Judy met her gaze. "No. Forgiveness fixes the person who gives it." The judge finally stood, gathering her papers. As she moved toward the door leading to chambers, she paused, her silhouette framed by the harsh courtroom lights. Then, without turning back, she said quietly, "We're not finished. One more record remains unspoken." The gavel struck once, not for order, but for transition. The echo hung in the air, a reminder that justice wasn't over yet. Maria sat back down, tears in her eyes. The bailiff approached Vanessa gently, setting a glass of water beside her. "Drink," he said quietly. She stared at it for a long moment, then nodded, the first small act of obedience in a lifetime of defiance. Behind her, the studio audience stayed seated even as the judge exited, everyone too stunned to move. Outside, thunder rolled faintly, like the sky itself closing the case. The recess ends. The next file will reopen, and this time it's not about money, contracts, or pride. It's about reputation, and what's left when power fades. When the courtroom reconvened, the air felt different, thinner, quieter, like even the walls were holding their breath. Judge Judy returned to the bench without ceremony. No opening statement, no warning. She simply gestured to the clerk. "Play it." The clerk pressed a button and the overhead monitor flickered to life. A familiar face filled the screen, Vanessa's, framed perfectly, camera angled high, ring light haloing her confidence. Her recorded voice boomed through the speakers. "Watch this, guys. Judge Judy won't know what hit her. I'll humble that woman on live TV. Just wait." Gasps erupted from the audience. Vanessa's own voice echoed through the room like an accusation she couldn't outrun. She froze, her eyes locked on her past self, confident, smug, untouched by consequence. The sound of that version of her laughing, mocking, was unbearable. Judge Judy didn't react. Her stillness said more than anger ever could. Maria's face crumpled, not in satisfaction but in disbelief that someone could be so casually cruel. Vanessa reached forward, whispering, "Turn it off." Judy didn't. The video continued, short clips stitched together from Vanessa's live stream, insults, boasts and hashtags that once built her fame but now played like a confession. When it ended, silence took over. You could hear the faint hum of the fluorescent lights, the shuffle of someone's nervous breath. Finally, Judy spoke. "Ms. DeLune," she said quietly, "I've been insulted before. Comes with the job. But this?" She leaned forward, her eyes sharp, her tone low. "This is not about me. It's about the arrogance that thinks respect is optional." Vanessa's chin trembled. "I didn't mean for anyone to see that." "But you posted it," Judy interrupted. "That's the thing about truth. It doesn't need permission to be seen." The audience murmured in agreement. Vanessa tried to speak again, but her voice broke. "I was trying to stay relevant." "Everyone online," Judy cut her off gently. "Relevance without integrity is just noise, Ms. DeLune, and you've been very loud." The words hit harder than any gavel. Vanessa's tears came silently this time. No drama, no denial. Just exhaustion. Maria lowered her gaze, tears forming again, not from triumph but empathy. Judy's voice softened, but the firmness remained. "I do not need to humble you," she said. "You just did it yourself." The line hung in the air, immortal, sharp, final. No one clapped, no one gasped. Even the cameras seemed hesitant to capture what had just happened. The precise moment arrogance gave way to understanding. Judge Judy closed the file slowly. "We'll proceed to final statements." The gavel tapped once, not loud, just steady. Vanessa flinched at the sound, as if even justice now whispered in her ear. The lights above dimmed slightly for the recording's next segment, a transition into judgment, quiet and devastating. As the camera pans out, Vanessa whispers something almost too faint to hear. "I don't know who I am without the applause." Judge Judy's eyes flicked toward her, unreadable, as the next and final file slides onto the bench. The courtroom lights felt dimmer now. Or maybe it was just the weight in the room. Even the audience, who'd once leaned forward for spectacle, now sat still and subdued, reflective. The sound of paper shuffling, a distant cough, a camera click, and that was all. Vanessa sat hunched over, hands clasped, face streaked with salt and mascara. She looked nothing like the woman who had strutted in an hour ago, promising to humble a judge. Judge Judy studied her for a long, quiet moment, not as an adversary, but as someone standing at the edge of their own lesson. "Ms. DeLune," Judy began, "you've spent most of this hearing talking. Maybe now you'd like to say something." Vanessa blinked slowly, her eyes glassy and red. "What do you want me to say?" "The truth," Judy replied, her tone even, gentle but firm. "Not your version. The one that hurts to admit." Vanessa's lips parted, but the words caught in her throat. Then slowly they began to form a fragile, trembling reel. "I was scared," she said. "Scared of being nobody. My whole life, People only cared because of my last name. The moment I stopped shining, they'd forget me. So I lied, I showed off. I hurt people because it made me feel powerful. A murmur spread through the audience, not judgment but surprise. Judy didn't interrupt. She let the confession unravel naturally, like a wound finally draining. Vanessa continued, her voice cracking. I thought being rich meant I couldn't lose. But I've lost everything that mattered, and I did it to myself. Her words hung there, raw, unscripted, heavy. Maria's hands trembled in her lap. She looked at Vanessa for a long moment before speaking softly, almost whispering, I forgive you. The words were small, but they echoed through the room like a prayer. Vanessa's shoulders collapsed. She covered her mouth with both hands, sobbing quietly, not performatively but brokenly. The audience remained silent. No applause, no commentary, just the sound of human reckoning. Judy exhaled slowly. Her eyes softened, not pity but recognition. You know, she said quietly, real power isn't what people see when you walk in. It's what stays standing when everything else falls apart. Vanessa looked up at her, tears catching the light. Is it too late to change? Judy paused, then said softly, It's never too late to start telling the truth. The gavel didn't strike this time. It didn't need to. The confession was louder than any verdict could be. Maria reached into her bag, pulled out a small business card, and slid it across the table. For when you're ready to pay, so just talk, she said quietly. Vanessa stared at it for a long moment before nodding, her tears falling freely now. No pride, no image. Just a human being stripped down to her last truth. Judge Judy rises slowly from her bench, adjusting her robe, her expression unreadable. The next sound the room will hear, the final gavel, will decide not only Vanessa's debt but the story's moral weight. Before you hear the verdict, do you believe people like Vanessa can truly change, or do they just learn to hide their arrogance better? When Judge Judy returned to the bench, the entire courtroom rose to its feet. The air was hushed, reverent, not the usual buzz of spectators hungry for drama, but the solemn quiet of people who'd just witnessed a transformation. Even the cameras seemed gentler now, their red lights blinking like tired eyes. Be seated, Judy said softly. Her voice carried through the silence like a final bell. Vanessa remained standing for a moment, hesitant, then sank slowly into her chair. Her hands rested on the table, palms open, a small but unmistakable gesture of surrender. Across from her, Maria sat still, her gaze lowered, her breathing even. Judy adjusted her glasses and began. This court has heard a great deal about money, deception, and pride. But what matters most today isn't the dollar amount on an invoice. It's the cost of character. She paused, scanning the room. Ms. Torres, you will receive full restitution, twice the amount owed, for the time and dignity you were forced to fight for. Ms. DeLune, you will make that payment within 30 days. Vanessa nodded without protest, her voice small. Yes, Your Honor, but Judy didn't close the case yet. She leaned forward, her tone soft but unyielding. There's one more order. Vanessa looked up, startled. You will issue a public apology on the same platforms where you mocked this process. The same stage you used for arrogance, you will now use for accountability. That is not a punishment, it is perspective. A few quiet gasps echoed. Maria's eyes shimmered, not out of revenge but relief. Vanessa swallowed hard, nodding again. I understand. Judy's gaze lingered on her, the weight of authority softened by empathy. Ms. DeLune, she said, you wanted to prove that your father's money made you untouchable. Today you learned what actually does, humility. Don't lose it again. The words fell like the slow toll of a bell. Then, a pause. The kind that feels sacred. Judy lifted her gavel. This court finds in favor of the plaintiff. Crack, the sound wasn't violent. It was measured, final, cleansing. The audience didn't cheer. They simply sat, absorbing what justice sounded like when it wasn't loud but true. Maria rose, walking past Vanessa without bitterness. Vanessa turned her head slightly, voice trembling. Thank you for forgiving me. Maria stopped, smiled faintly through tears. Don't thank me. Just mean it. Judge Judy stood, adjusting her robe. As she exited through the side door, the camera lingered on her empty chair, the symbol of justice at rest. Vanessa gathered her things quietly, leaving behind the broken glamour, the discarded pride, and a faint trail of redemption. Maria stepped out into the light first. Vanessa followed a moment later, blinking against the brightness as if seeing the world for the first time.